Hello guys and welcome to How to Master Daily Race C. This week's combination, we are at Daytona Road Course, so the full circuit of Daytona, and we are using Group 3 cars. Now, it is 10 laps, it's a rolling start, times 2 fuel, times 6 tyre, and we are on racing mediums. Brake balances allowed, DRS art affected, light damage is on, you have to make it one pit stop since it's mandatory. Shortcut penalties on, of course, collision penalties on, and pit lane line cutting penalties on. As you can see on our ranking board, top car is the Dodge Viper. 4GT, I don't think 4GT is close to 5 to be honest, that's just Deck point of the lap time 4GT. But anyway, the best car here by a mile, in my opinion, is the Dodge Viper. As you can see, literally everyone is in the Dodge Viper. So that is the best car, and that's probably the car I would recommend for you to be the most competitive in. But if you don't know me well enough, I like to go in anti-meta cars, so I don't like to use the meta car. So, for example, you'll see me not use Viper because I like to try and mix up the grid a bit. I like variety. So yeah, I'm a control player. I'm a split 3, split 4 GTWS driver, I'd say. So I tend to go from the back in daily races. So as you'll see from a race I did earlier, I'll be starting towards the back of the grid. But I will go through the cars that I think you can use now. So obviously Viper's the best car. I'll say the 4GT is usable because it's got a good top end and it's got good traction. It doesn't have the best low end acceleration and it doesn't have the best handling, but it's got good top speed and it's got good traction, so you can at least relatively keep up okay. Although there are better cars for that. Another car I'd recommend is the Z4 that I'm using because that car's got good traction, very good acceleration, not the best top speed, but you can stick with people. And yeah, it's just good with sticking with the group and trying to catch to the next group ahead with some help from others. So I recommend Z4. I'd say it's the next best car in the race outside Viper to be honest. Maybe outside another car that I'll mention in a minute. But another car's okay, Jag type, similar characteristics to Z4 you asked me. Maybe slightly better handling, but slightly worse acceleration top end, and definitely slightly worse tyre wear, at least on the front tyres. But it's still okay, and it's a bit harder to drive, especially in second gear. But I would recommend it if you like to try different cars. It's not a bad car here. If you like MR car, maybe Citroen. I tried the Citroen earlier, I was okay in it. It's got a good traction, good acceleration, decent top end, decent handling, but it does struggle in the chicane here because of the weight transfer. And with the way you have to do the chicane, it just struggles there. You do slide a bit, so you might lose a bit of time there, and you might struggle keeping up with cars after this sector here, and you might get overtaken due to the poor exit you get from this corner. But it's still a good car, so I would recommend that. Two more cars I'll mention is one is a Toyota Supra, because that car's got a very good top end. It's got good high speed handling, so it'll be fast from this. It'll be fast from about here onwards, but from the start to about here, it will struggle just because it's got poor acceleration. But it's got good tyre wear, and it's got very good top end, and it's got very good high speed handling. So you can at least potentially fight for the win here, but you might struggle overtaking, especially at the start of the race. You might even get overtaken at the start of the race in that car as well. One more car I would recommend is the Pug VGT, because that car has the best top speed. Simple as that, it's got the best top speed. Everything else it's not good at, but it's good at burning fuel, so you'll have used more fuel at the end of the race in that car compared to other cars, so you might be a bit lighter. You might be a bit faster at the end of the race compared to the beginning of the race. And I think it's got okay tyre wear from memory as well. Anyway, it's got the best top end. Doesn't have good low end acceleration, doesn't have good handling, but it's got okay tyre wear, burns a lot of fuel, and it's got a good top speed. So if you've got like a fight, if you're like working with someone, if you're in the lead with the Pug VGT and you've got a Viper behind you and you want to like try catch the next train, the Pug VGT will be very good at that. Anyway, enough of that. Now for the strategy of this race. Even though it's times 6 tyre on racing mediums, which is quite high, because it's Daytona with lots of speed corners, it is a no tyre changer because you lose, I believe, 4 seconds changing tyres. It might even be more than 4 seconds. You lose quite a bit of time tyre changing, and you lose the slipstream because everyone else, at least in my races, don't change tyres. So you'll be by yourself, and even with new tyres, you won't be faster than people ahead because they've been slipstreaming each other because slipstream is very powerful, at least on this combination. You probably gain at least a second lap just being inside the slipstream. That is how powerful it is. You need to be in the slipstream. So do not tyre change. And I'll talk about where I'm tyre saving if you want to have the best performance at the end of the race. So there's a no tyre changer. When would I recommend to pit? I would recommend to pit either beginning of the race if you're starting towards the back. If you see chaos is erupting, I'll just pit early. Try have someone go with you, at least one other car. So either use your indicators or if you know someone, just flash your hazards just to let them know that you're pitting, and hopefully they'll follow you in. Even at times, if you go by yourself, you will still undercut people because they are too busy fighting for themselves. So I'll either start pit early or avoid the chaos and pit late. Now, in my race, I'm going to show you, I pitted late, but that's because I avoided the chaos that happened and I worked very well with drivability in that particular race, which is why I didn't need to pit in my race. So I recommend pitting any time. You can stay in the... For example, if you've got like fast people ahead of you that are pitting, I would recommend following them, use their slipstream, try tyre save behind them and try attack them in the end. If you're behind and trying to catch up and you see too much chaos is happening, you're losing too much race time, pit, try and get away from the chaos, get away from people. Or if you're at the back and you see people ahead pitting, but they might be fast, but there's like a lot of them pitting and it could be chaos, stay out, try overcut them, try work with 3 or 4 people, because at least 3 people, because you want a car ahead, just to do optimum lap times, so like break normal points, turn normal points. You want a car behind them to bump draft them, so they're faster down the straights. But you want another car behind them, so that once the second car's bump draft, the third car bump drafts them as well, so the second car can bump draft to the first place guy even quicker. So you gain more speed and more lap time on the straights. But now I'm going to go into the detailed lap in one of the races I did. I think it was lap 6, if I'm going to show you. Just because I wasn't by myself, but I was in slipstream, but like I wasn't getting bump drafted, so I can give you a rough reference to where I was braking in that. And after I've shown my detailed lap, I'll show a race on board, the whole race of what I was doing, and what it looks like to drive relatively well. So if you find this helpful, please, if you want, like and sub. I would greatly appreciate it. But I'm going to show you what I've been doing. So I hope you enjoy. Cheers. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you lap 6 because I believe I didn't get slipstream on this lap, and I got a bit of bump drafts, but I can give you good braking references on that from what I've been doing anyway. Since you won't really be by yourself, so if you're on time trial, the braking references on that will be a bit different. Maybe just brake a bit later than what I've been showing you for optimum lap time, but this is just to give you a rough idea of what I've been doing in the races with slipstream and that. So let's see, I'm going to get a bit of a bump draft. I'm carrying quite a bit of speed, so I'm going to be braking a bit earlier than I would usually. So for turn 1, you see this thing sticking out, this black thing here sticking out, and you see this white line here. I tend to brake at the end of this white line here. So I'm going to pause here. I've just started to brake now. So you'll see me braking a straight line, going towards it outside, about halfway through this first bit, just before like the first proper corner shows up. So like where you see these boards at the end here, that's where I'm aiming. I'm aiming my car to be close to the outside right line by the end of this like little first corner bit here, just to line myself up for the actual corner well. So see, making a straight line. Try to go quite close to the outside, but not too close to the outside that you start to lose grip by touching the right line or just missing the camber. So you want to be about here, maybe slightly more to the outside. But I start to trail brake quite early because I don't want to hold 100% brakes for too long and kill my front right tires, because you're braking from such high speed and you're turning. So you're braking and turning aggressively. So I like to trail brake pretty early on so that I'm not putting too much load into my front right tires and killing them. So I'm already 50% trail braking here, but you'll see me be close to the outside, you'll see me hug the inside for quite a while, because that is where the grip is, in my opinion. And I'm on throttle quite early, because it's quite a wide track. This part of the track is quite wide. So about it, I aim to be about 66 mile an hour on this corner in this Z4. Probably similar in a Viper and most other cars. Little wobble, but like I said, Z4 is quite easy to catch slides. Next corner, you see this one board, I literally break a car width, or maybe even 2 car lengths after it. That's car length, sorry, I said car width, I meant car lengths. I think I'll break about a 1.5 car lengths after it. So about here. So I've just gone past the one board, I'm on the brakes now. You'll see me do a V-shape, so I go towards this first apex, or I just miss it. And I'm about halfway between the left and right side of the track, so I'm about halfway across the track. And you'll see me take the exit in like a straight line, just so I can put the throttle down and carry momentum for relatively long straight after. So I missed the first part, line myself for the exit, straighten up, full throttle. I was aiming for about 50 mile an hour on that corner. That's easy flat. Next corner, see the spare road. So you see this black bit here, I'll brake after it. There's this right shadowed line here. I'll go here. There's a first shadow line that comes across after you see this black bit. Without slipstream and bump drafts, I brake towards the end of this line. If I got a bump draft or I'm in slipstream, I tend to brake at the beginning of this line, just so I don't go too deep and kill my front lefts here. I stay about halfway between the left and right side of the track. I try to brake in a straight line 100%, but as soon as I start to like turn into the actual corner, you'll see me turn more and you'll see me trail brake more, just so that I'm not putting too much load into the front left and going straight on and understeering. I'm still turning well, I'm still slowing the car down enough to actually make the corner. Try go on this curb if you can, but it doesn't matter too much as long as you're close to it and carry momentum. That's all that really matters. I was aiming for about 52 mile an hour here. You saw the exit curb. This next corner, as you see the spare road comes out where the grass ends. Right here, right here, that's my braking reference. So the oil line, whatever it is, that's where I brake. You'll see me brake 100% in a straight line as I turn in, as I start to trail brake. Try use it inside curb. Right here. Try touch this curb here, because I felt like as I touched it, I had a bit more grip so I could go on the throttle a bit earlier. I think I just touched it, but try to like have your whole left tyres on it. I will say on this corner, if you're trying to catch it in the switch train ahead, I would recommend personally, so like if you're within like 1.3 seconds of a car ahead, I would recommend taking a tight line so that you're gaining time initially on this infield bit, or joining onto this oval bit, so you get more slipstream from the car ahead. But on a normal lap, if you're getting bump drafts from behind and you're not in the slipstream ahead, like I am here, just use the whole exit and carry momentum. Take the wide line and plant the throttle. If you lift, you'll lose a lot of time in this next sector, so you've just got to plant it and hope it sticks. In this Z4, it tends to stick because it's got good traction and it's quite stable. Actually, I'll get a bump draft, so I have to brake a little bit earlier for this next spin, as I would using like a time trial lap or if I'm on the side. Anyway, Series 2 board, we go past that. You see this black thing sticking out, go past that. Now it's this right line that I use as my braking reference. Without slipstream and without bump drafts and anything, I would brake about half a car length after this right line. With bump drafts on that, I tend to just brake slightly before this right line, just to make sure that I don't go too deep into this first part, but I ruin the rest of the chicane up. So you'll see me brake 100% initially. As I start turning, I'll trail brake a bit more. And I aim to have half my car on the grass, half my car on the curb, just to help me angle the next parts of the chicane well, and set myself up for a good exit, because it's a very, very long straight / flat out section coming up. So right here, I've got half my car on the grass, half my car on the curb. I tend to aim for about 150 mile an hour in this first bit, and as I get towards the end of this pit, you'll see me tap the brakes, or trail brakes slightly, and I aim my car to be fully on this yellow curb here. Like that. Try not to touch the grass, but if you touch a tiny bit of grass, don't worry about it. I do a bit here. I think it's even faster just to touch a tiny bit of grass. But don't cut it too much, like you get a penalty. That's the main thing. I aim to be about 98 mile an hour here. I keep it lifted until I line myself up to have my right wheels on this inside curb and my left and my right wheels to stay on this yellow curb on the outside. I try to line myself up for the exit so that I can go and throttle as early as possible and carry momentum. I will say, if you missed the last curve that I just shown, you have to make sure at least your right wheel is within this right line, because it will give you a penalty otherwise, because it'll feel the game says that you're trying to extend this part of the track even though you normally can. So if you touch the inside yellow curve I just shown, you can go above this right line, and as long as you've got your right wheels touching this yellow curve, you won't get a chocolate on it. But if you do miss a curb, make sure your right wheel is at least on the right line. Go over the grass just to maximise the exit. Have your right wheels touch this curb, like I said. And that is the lap guide here. So I will say, I'll pause here now because the lap's over. If you see my mouse cursor thing here, I recommend tyre saving in this corner particularly, because you don't want to put too much load in this corner. I do maybe a little bit of this corner as well, because at least in my driving style, I put a bit too much brake inputs more than I would like to, which is where I'm probably killing my front lights a bit more than usual. So try not hold your brakes too much here. Try release them early and just focus on a good exit here. But anyway, that's the lap guide around here. So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoyed. Now I'm going to show you a bit of race on board of one of the races I did earlier. From the back, and I got to the front group at the end. I didn't win, but I got close, and that is good enough in this car. As long as this car is very hard to win with, but it's good with sticking with the Vipers, if you understand me. So you can use their slipstream to try gain further positions with this pit stop strat from this way. So I hope this helps. If you're in another car, there'll be similar braking reference, especially in the Jag F-Type, for example. They're very similar from what I drove. Viper will be a bit different because it's fast on straight. Citroen, you can probably brake a bit later because I think it's a bit better on brakes. I think that's all. I think I only use Citroen instead of on Jag so far from memory, so I can say a bit about these three cars. Everything else, I'm not too sure. It'll be pretty similar anyway. Pug GT will probably be similar to the Dodge as well, just because that car's quick on the straights. So I hope this helps. I'll show you a race on board now. Cheers.